Earlier this week, Saskatchewan's government announced its 10-year plan to increase rare mineral production by 2030. 23 of 31 of the so-called critical minerals featured on Canada's critical mineral list are found in Saskatchewan. But the Federation of Sovereign Indigenous Nations says the province's strategy infringes on First Nations treaty and inherent rights. It says First Nations need to be included in planning and in sharing the revenues generated through rare mineral productions, because First Nations are the rightful owners of those resources, not the settlers.
They made agreements that they would be farming, for agriculture. So that was the discussions at the time of treaty. So that's why we say we agreed to the depth of a plow, and minerals, oil and gas and so forth were never on the table.
That agreement, though, was never actually put on paper in treaty agreements, which could complicate First Nations claims to natural resources.
There's a pretty wide difference in the viewpoints of the government and the First Nations on that issue, as between all of the minerals having been transferred under the treaties versus none of the minerals having been transferred under the treaties. It's a pretty stark difference and a very large legal dispute if that were ever tested out in full.
Newman says he thinks FSIN is putting forward a large claim to the minerals to start negotiating with the province, as a way to start discussing resource revenue sharing agreements with Saskatchewan's government. Those exist in other provinces already, and exist in a way already in Saskatchewan, through gaming agreements between the Saskatchewan Indian Gaming Association and the province.
We need substantial resources. Federal and provincial policies aren't fixing that.
Saskatchewan's premier says resource revenue is shared with everyone in the province, and says the province is engaging with Indigenous-owned companies and First Nations people work in resource extraction industries. Will McClernon, CBC News.